Throughout history, the children of Israel have fought many enemies. And while anti-Jewish attitudes, violence towards Jews, and attempts to dominate and/or dispossess Jews have existed for thousands of years, it would be imprecise to categorize all of this as anti-Semitism, because anti-Semitism is a relatively modern phenomenon that serves a specific purpose and possesses features that have little relevance to Israel's ancient conflicts. So mere hostility towards Jews, especially when based on an actual national conflict, does not necessarily constitute anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism should be understood as a system of oppression used to perpetuate injustice. For example, people see many Jews in the United States accumulating wealth, moving up in society, and gaining positions of influence. And when they hear Jews complaining about our oppression, they genuinely don't understand what we mean. Anti-Semitism doesn't work the same way other systems of oppression do. Systemic racism creates permanently exploitable groups of workers, people kept in line through institutional discrimination and violence. People who are dependent on low-wage jobs can serve as the shock absorbers for the economic recessions inherent in the current system. Jews were the shock absorbers of Europe's class societies. Anti-Semitism developed as a strategy employed by those in power to deflect blame for systemic injustices. Jews were middle agents, drafted into being the local representatives of a distant ruling class that exploited them while squeezing the lifeblood out of Europe's peasants and workers. According to a theory put forward by Aurora Levins Morales, the whole point of anti-Semitism has been to create a vulnerable buffer group that can be bribed with some privileges and protection into managing the exploitation of others. Jewish populations would often cooperate with the ruling classes of Europe because our own experiences of persecution made us desperate for a sense of security. But when social pressure builds, the buffer groups can be blamed and scapegoated in order to distract those at the bottom from the crimes of those at the top. Peasants who initiated pogroms against their Jewish neighbors generally didn't make it to the nobleman's castle to burn them out and seize the fields. Levins Morales explains this to have been the role of Jews in medieval Europe. The institutionalization of anti-Semitism in the United States has been slightly more complicated and works in exactly the opposite way as anti-black racism. While racism is designed to ensure the failure of the black community in disproportionately high numbers, anti-Semitism grants Jews very visible inclusion and disproportionate success in accumulating wealth and influence. This reinforces anti-Jewish conspiracy theories. Jews are therefore positioned in such a way that enables them to be easily scapegoated by the establishment in the event of a major crisis. But on a smaller scale, this has forced Jews into conflict with other minority communities, who often perceive Jews as beneficiaries of the same institutions they feel oppressed by. And the more vulnerable the Jewish community feels, the more desperate it becomes for a sense of security, which in turn increases its dependency on the power structure. This also seems to be the role designed for the State of Israel in the Middle East. Where do Zionism and the State of Israel factor into this conversation? How can the Jewish people successfully break free from anti-Semitism? Check out Part 2 to learn more.